My friend Richard has often told me, Kevin, I've never seen you fail when you've made up your mind to do something. And he's right. When I decide to go all in, there's no stopping me. And when I make a plan and execute on that plan, there's no stopping me. Because I've learned that there's only one thing that can stop me. Hi, everybody. Kevin Barheit here. Thanks for tuning in. The only thing that's ever stopped me from achieving my goals is an unwillingness to continually evaluate and revise my goals. I wasn't able to face what being adopted meant to me until I was an adult. But once I made that decision to go all in, there was no turning back. I used to think that I should just buck up and get over this adoption thing, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and then I realized over time that the changes that happened to me, they weren't just emotional changes, they were mental changes, and they were physiological changes. They were things that changed me internally and almost permanently. When an infant bonds to his or her mother, it triggers a neurological mechanism. But because I had been relinquished and separated from my first mother, that neurological mechanism was broken. It was snapped in two. And it didn't end there. After I was relinquished, I was put into foster care. And then after foster care, I was adopted. Then as a teenager, I was put back into foster care. And I went from one foster home to another one. From a foster home to a group home, from a group home to a detention center, and finally, I was placed back with my original adoptive family. But the changes that happened were not just geographical or circumstantial. They were deep within me. They were a primal rewiring, one alteration after the other. And it changed my mental outlook on life, my physical relationship with others, and my spiritual relationship with the world. It changed my value. It changed my worth, and it changed my whole understanding and reason for existing. I felt like my life was an entire disaster that was better off ending. Or maybe would have been better off having never existed. But when I took that first step toward change, when I made that decision to go all in to make new goals and new plans, I stepped toward a new future. And I stepped away from the pain and the loss of the abandonment. I knew that I couldn't change that past, but I was determined to claim my own future. So when I set out to achieve these new goals, I wanted to be both specific and open to new ideas. So I talked for hours, days, weeks, months, years to Richard, with my therapist, with trusted people in my family and friends, and the circle of community I had around me. And then I did the thing that I never thought that I'd have the courage to do. I talked to people like me. I talked to people within the adoption triad, and I listened. And I learned. I learned from my dear friend Roz, a first mother who had relinquished her two twins. And I learned from my fellow adoptee, Michael, who had searched and found reunion with his birth family. I learned from my adoptive parents about their hopes and their dreams and their loss and their grief. And I learned from myself. I relived and revisited every single day from the day that I was relinquished. I learned that I wasn't to blame. I learned that I wasn't unlovable, and I learned that I wasn't unworthy. And I learned that I was fully capable of change. In his book about parenting, Dr. Gordon Neufeld says, "Children must never work for love. They must rest in it." As an adoptee, I could never rest. I would always have to work for my love and for my worth. I wanted to find my own value and my worth, but I wanted to claim that value and worth on my own terms. And I wanted to have a relationship with my adoptive family, but I wanted that relationship also to be on my terms. I wanted to learn to trust people. I knew that I had the ability within me to trust people, that people wouldn't abandon me. But I'd never had those experiences before, never in my life. I wanted so much to know my family of origin. I wanted to know where I came from. I wanted to know my first mother. And I wanted that no matter what my biological family wanted or needed for me, whether they would accept me or not, whether they needed me or not, whether they wanted me or not, that I could walk into that with confidence and with boldness of my own value, of my own worth, and of my own purpose. And my most critical goal, the one that seemed the most impossible but became the most urgent was that I become an adult adoptee. Not a child, not an infant, not a baby that can be abandoned and left alone and cast away to suffer and to die, but an adult. I decided to claim and to own all the grief and all the loss, to remember it and to talk about it, and then to finally destroy it, and to take my power back. The power that was given up, the power that was taken away from me, because of the fear of losing my mother, the fear of being abandoned. And I cannot be abandoned as an adult. I can be left, but I cannot be abandoned. I am not helpless, and I am not hopeless. I can feel helpless and hopeless, but as an adult, I have options and plans, and I can live by those plans. I can care for myself. I will reach out for help. I have myself, and I have you, and I will not die. And just as important as it is for me to make these goals and decisions, it's important for me to share it with others. Just as important as it is for me to share these goals with other people, it's important for me to share with other people when these goals fall short. Because if all I share with people are the goals that I've achieved, then I limit my ability to get to the life that I want. One of worth, one of value, and one of belonging. So I try to set aside time every day, maybe in the morning, and I review my goals, and I try to ask myself, again, some hard questions. Am I healing from the hurt of abandonment, or do I need some additional help? Am I beginning to see myself as a person of value? Or am I still disconnected and looking for value and worth outside of my own self-worth? Do I have a right to search for my biological family? Should I search for my first mother? Should I wait until my birth mother tries to find me? What if I make a mistake? Should I tell my adoptive family I'm doing any of this? Every time that we ask ourselves these questions and then make a decision, the fear about what could happen can be paralyzing. But as I travel these new paths, how do I know if I need to make this decision or that one? Take a left turn or a right one? What if I make a mistake? What if I choose the wrong path? Dr. Timothy Keller is a pastor at a church in New York City, and he and I were talking once, and he told me that people come to him often trying to make decisions about whether they should take this job or that one, and what they should do in their marriage or in a relationship or with a friendship or something they're struggling with. And when they've come between one path or another and they just can't decide, they bring it to him, and eventually he says, I tell them, pick one. And they look and they say, what do you mean pick one? I can't pick one. And he said, well, you've grappled with it enough. Pick one. And the person just about gasped and said, what do you mean? I pick this one or that one? You mean it's just a crapshoot? I have a 50-50 chance? And Tim would tell them, yeah, you got a 50-50 chance of being right, but you have a 100% chance of being guided once you make the decision. When I make the decision to reach out to my biological family, I have no power at all on how they will respond. But I can trust that I will be guided. I can trust that I will be supported no matter whatever happens. That my community will be beside me, and that my entire community of fellow adoptees will be right there by my side, that will always have my back. And I can know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I have me. That I was not built to be discarded, but to be loved and to be valued and to be cherished. And my courage and tenacity and perseverance will continue to bring me to places in my life that are beyond my wildest dreams. I didn't make a decision to relinquish myself, but I can make a decision to claim myself. I claim my place within my community of friends, within my community of fellow adoptees, and I claim my place with my higher power. And as I ground myself in these relationships with these people that I choose and with my higher power, I ground myself in my commitment to claim myself as my own. A self that can never be abandoned, should never be cast aside, and that will never have to fend for myself alone. It means the world to me that you're willing to share this journey with me. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Please stick around for a few more minutes. Next week, we're going to introduce you to Jermaine Wells, a fellow adoptee, a different story. A different story than mine, maybe a different story than yours. All of our stories have value. All of our stories have worth. I hope to see you next week. Until then, stick around for the quick little preview. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Please like, please share, please comment below. Thanks again for taking the time. See you next week. Take care.
Let me just say another thing why I say it's a Cinderella story. And the other side is that I was adopted by my own family. I mean, that almost never happens to be adopted into your own family. And for all three of the boys born to all be in their same family, you know, it's just miraculous.
It is miraculous. It's beyond a Cinderella story.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a New York story.
It's a New York story.
We'll call it a New York
It's
story.
a Bronx tale.
Oh, no, we did not.